Let's see if this is going to, if it's going to work. Only one way to find out. Right, it says it's going live. It should be, I'm not too sure. I can't see the screen, but let me see if I can log in on the iPad as well and see how we're getting on. Let's have a look. So teething problems, it has to be. Hopefully the sound is good. If someone can let me know, that would be magic. There's Gino in already as well. Hello Gino, I know I'm a little bit early. I'm not too sure how this would work with the iPhone, so I thought if I can just get in, there might be a way to show me preview, but I've not been able to find that yet. So I've just went live 5 minutes early, so I'll hang fire for a wee bit, pour myself a wee dram just now. It's not going to be much about the whiskey tonight, it's going to be more about the wee journey. Gav's dram's in. Is it fine? Is the sound fine? Sound is good. Pick is good as well from Willie. Right, good. We're getting places. This is a half decent start, but I don't know how long it will continue. We just can only wait and see. I've got my iPad here, so this is what I'll be reading the comments from. So people put comments in it, I'll hopefully try and see them from that as well. There's Pete Head in, and also Graham Brown's in as well. Good to see everyone. The Whiskey Franco, evening and afternoon. So there's people here from all over, which is amazing. Thomas Jones, good luck with the lives. Thank you, Thomas, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just thought I would give it a bash. Why not? Something a bit different. The 1,000 milestone gives me my phone. It's all I've got to use when I'm doing my videos and things as well. I've not got this unfortunate array of cameras everywhere and lights and audio and things. It's just straight for the iPhone, and that's all I'm able to use. And there's Ben Marnock in as well. Hell's Wid, everyone's in. Good to see everyone. So a couple of minutes and then I'll just get into it. I think that way, having a look at the screen just now, I can see my big ugly face on it, and it looks quite clear. So I'm hoping that's going to stay that way. I have the phone facing away from me, so I've hopefully got it plugged in and it's charging. So if it cuts out at any point, I'll just type in on the iPad what's going on there. The sound is a bit low, is what Gav's saying, so hopefully, let me see if I can do anything with this. Excuse my fingers. And there's Phil Dubai from New Zealand. Good morning, Phil. Crazy you'll be having your coffee or your tea whilst I'm about to sip on a wee dram here. And there's wee Mo. Alright, Mo. She's in as well. So it's good to see people here. I know it's a little bit early, potentially at 7:30 at night, but I just thought a time that kind of suits around the schedule today. I'm going to try and keep it to an hour as well if I can. That's the hopefulness of all this. If I can do it for an hour, I'll be doing well, because I don't think I can talk much more of an hour about my journey. I probably could, but I'll try my best. Keep it to an hour, let everyone get away and they can enjoy their midweek. And if they're having a wee dram tonight as well, let me know what they are, what they're sipping on. If you've got a wee dram, or maybe because it's midweek, we're just waiting till Thursday or Friday. Willie's saying it sounds good way down at the Clyde, right? Ideal, that's good. As long as you can all hear me and you can see me, that's the main thing just now. And this will be a good wee test to see how it's going to work in the future. If I'm able to sustain doing this, and if I can continue on, I'll be doing well. I've got a wee dram here just now to sip on to start. Nice bourbon cask matured. I have the Bladnoch Leora. This is my first dram I'm just going to sip along with just now, and I've got two others sitting here, which if I get through this one, I will pour in the glass and have a wee chat about as well. But the Bladnoch Leora is a ex-bourbon cask and finished in virgin oak, which was a stunning dram, something that I'm really enjoying, and is already in a wee tip for my whiskey of the year potentially. Who else have we got here? There's Drew from AZ. Drew, thank you for tuning in as well. I have some water here, and you might notice the glass that this is in as well. This is the Dragon Brewing Company, a wee gift from, he came over, he dropped this wee glass off for me. Thank you. Right, I'm just going to begin. It's practically past. By the looks of it, I'm potentially lagging here from my image, so back it's fine, as long as we can hear me. So this is the first ever live on the iPhone. I've done live before, just from when I had a laptop and things that worked and a wee camera. It was just a difficult setup and things, and I always thought I feel more comfortable in front of the phone doing it, and I thought I would just give it a go. But reading into the kind of algorithms of YouTube, you had to get to 1,000 subscribers, which I was able to do from all you lovely whisky followers out there that follow my channel, me talking nonsense about whisky. So first things for that is a cheers for everyone for supporting the channel and giving me this opportunity to get to this stage as well. There's Graham Young just popped in. They are, what's he saying there? Hello lads, cheers Kevin. Heading to Ireland and Scotland tomorrow. Oh, when you're popping over, I am off until the 7th of May, so if you're in Scotland at any point, just reach out to me and hopefully try and catch up for a wee dram. That'd be magic. But cheers to everyone for subscribing and following this channel. It's something I thought maybe people would like to know where it all began for me. You know, I just popped up 2 years ago on YouTube during lockdown and started talking about whisky. But my journey starts years before that. Not plenty of years before it, but it does start a long time before there. So I'm kind of going back to around about 2013, maybe 10 years ago. If you don't know already, I'm cousin Roy's, I'm cousin Kevin to Roy, who's Aquavita. If you don't follow his channel already, definitely get on there. He is the king of the lives, and he does them with a very good setup and a better one than mine, to be fair. Used to go to Roy's quite a lot. He was always into whisky at that point in time, 2013. I was still in the stage of, didn't really bother me as much. And I remember one New Year going round and he gave me what we call the 6 steps. So I was able to try 6 different types of whisky at New Year. And one of these whiskies, it was starting off a kind of Highland, a Lowland Speyside, Campbelltown, Islay, and I think a blend of things was in there as well. And I got to learn about these a little bit. I was still remember sipping my whiskies. I can't remember them all, but there was one that stood out. But I remember trying these and thinking, oh, okay, but there was a passion there with Roy, and he just loved it. And I thought, do you know what? It's fine. It's cool. I quite enjoy it, but I wouldn't see myself going out to a pub and buying my own whiskey or buy myself a dram. So I just seen there's David Brody from Bunnahabhain just popped in as well. Even Kevin told you with some of that wee wreck of a Moscatel cask. That was stunning. I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy that. I'm quite jealous if you're going to get one of them as well. And there's Des popped in saying there's a new live. Yeah, first time Des for this for me, so welcome everyone again. It's 21 people in, so thank you for joining. But we get to New Year about 2013, going into 2014 I believe, and doing these 6 steps. I'm just trying the whiskies, going okay, and Roy was talking about all the different flavours and casks and things, and I wasn't too interested. I think I was just sitting drinking beers. And I remember getting to the last dram of the night. So we came into the bells, we came into 2014, New Year's just happened, and the last dram, he had covers over every one, and he told me not to smell the last one. And I remember taking that off, taking a big whiff, and I went, what on earth is that? And it was a Lagavulin 16, and I think a lot of people can relate to getting into whiskey by going peaty whiskey. That was a very distinguished whiskey from the other 5. Peat, and then the rest were just whiskey to me at that time. They would all smell like whiskey, and then this one smelled like a fire. And I thought, what is this? And I remember trying it. I thought, wow, this is quite sweet. This is different, something I've never ever appreciated before. And I think I remember saying to him, I was like, what is peat? And he got into that, and I thought, that sounds very interesting. And I think I went home, and it was the next couple of days I'm having a little look online and kind of googled what peat was, and I found out what Islay was, and thought, oh well, this all sounds really cool. Started watching some YouTube, and then before you know it, I'm down a rabbit hole, and I purchased my own Lagavulin 16 not too long after that, because it was a good price at the time. I think you're looking less than £50, or the £50 mark. So I kind of started there. But it wasn't as if I was hook, line and sinker and I wanted to go and try every whiskey in the world. There was then slow steps. So stepdad Craig, he was into his whiskey as well. He had a small kind of collection in the house, and I would have a wee dram now and then. And I think one of the bottles I bought after that was maybe a Dalwhinnie. Maybe a Dalwhinnie 15 was in the supermarket for a good price, and I started trying to compare these. But it was an odd occasion. It wasn't a weekly thing. I wasn't right into it at that time. I still thought whiskey was whiskey. But there was something in the back of my mind saying, this is quite interesting. and I did start to enjoy it. We get into kind of through 2014 things back at Roy's quite a bit, and I think I went to the pub a couple of times and bought a whisky, but my friends weren't into whisky at the time, and I was just sipping along and trying to get. I was a Lefroy, and I remember getting a Lefroy, didn't know what that was, but I remember reading about it, and that was when I thought, I don't like this at all. This was really weird, very difficult to get along with, and I never bought one again for a while. But I kind of fast forward to 2015, and 2015 was a year where I moved to America. I moved to Texas for a year, and this is when it really kind of kicked in, I believe, because when I got to Texas, being Scottish with the accent, everyone in Texas knew more about whiskey than me, and it was always, do you love whiskey? What's your favourite Scotch? And I thought, I don't really know much about it. So from there, from the passion of people I was surrounded by wanting to know more about whiskey, I started trying to learn a little bit. So I learned a little bit here and there. I was going to liquor stores and people were asking me to pronounce whiskey, so I was going into the liquor stores in Texas, just outside Austin, and New Braunfels where I stayed at the time. And I was helping them pronounce whiskies, which was pretty cool. And then from there, I would sit and kind of learn a wee bit about one or two. And again, I still didn't get this. It never grabbed me in. I was just having a little kind of side interest in it. Football was passion at the time, and that was me. It's what I wanted to do. So I'd have a wee dram now and then. One of the families I was with, I think I bought them a tomatin, maybe a 15, or no, it wasn't. It was some export only tomatin that I'd bought them. And I remember trying it. I thought, oh, this is quite sweet and very easy going. And so I was having wee drams of that now and then. And going out to bars, I would always get offered a shot because I was Scottish. It would always the barman, the bar woman would always give me a dram or a shot, sorry, but it was always Jameson's. So I started to learn to shoot back a Jameson's, a shooter of Jameson's, because they thought I was Scottish and I would like it. We fast forward again, we come home in 2015, go back to Roy's kind of New Year, and this is when I started asking more questions about whiskey. I was quite enjoying it and doing another kind of set of steps and asking more questions. And I think he gave me a book that year, or maybe into 2016 he gave me a book, and it was Charles MacLean's, I can't remember what that one's called now. One of Charles MacLean's little books that I'd got, and one of the potential malt whisky yearbooks as well in 2016, I think it was. So I started enjoying it again. Get to March time, I moved back to the States. I go, well, sorry, in fact, rewind there. I worked in a pub the end of 2014 end of 2015 into 2016. And I started learning about whiskey there. So this is where it started coming into play, because people were asking for whiskey. We would always have the same people that would sit in the bar. I always knew what they wanted. There was always one that wanted white Mackay. There was always somebody that wanted a Dalwhinnie. It was always with 2 ice cubes in it. It couldn't be 3. It couldn't be 1. It had to be 2. And I was always asking, why do you like that? And it was like, oh, this one's a bit sweeter than that. You know, I kind of grew up, and this was one of the first ones I enjoyed. And I thought, all right, okay, why do you enjoy it? I just started asking questions. You could see people being interested in it. And I thought, this is our national drink, this is pretty cool. I've been in America, everyone's been asking me about it. I'm about to go back. I think I should start learning a little bit more. So I just started doing a little bit more research on whiskey and what I'd like to enjoy. And before I know it, I'm back in the States. I'm in New York, Long Island, and one of the families there liked whiskey, and they were asking about, they had an old Macallan sitting there that they'd been gifted, and an old black and white, I think it was, with wee Scotty dogs on it. I had no clue at the time. I kind of knew about Macallan, but I didn't know the vast growth of Macallan being like the creme de la creme of whiskey per se. But now being a kind of whiskey anorak, or whatever you like to call it, I wouldn't say it's the best whiskey out there. So I breezed through 2015, the same again, just going to bars, and I'm seeing some cool whiskies, and I'm like, oh, I'll try this, or I'll try that, spending a few bucks and buying more whiskey for families and things like that, and just kind of starting to slightly enjoy it a little bit more. Again, it was hot in the summer. I didn't really feel myself enjoying a whiskey in the summer. It was more kind of cooler beers and stuff, but people would still always ask, have any accent, wanting to know about whiskey. So I was able to sit there and tell them about a little bit about whiskey and some where they were from. People would ask me, oh, where is Dalwhinnie? And I have no idea. It's in Scotland somewhere, central, I believe, but that was me just kind of guessing at the time. I come home in 2015 into 2016. 2016 and 2017, I spend my time back in New York, learning more about whisky during that time being back, and again working in the pub, seeing more whiskies coming in. They were asking about whiskies I should bring in at the bar because I took an interest at the time. So I said, "Oh, you should bring in this, you bring in that." So stuff started to sell. And I thought this is going pretty well. And then it was 2017. I came home from the States in August. Had to find some work because I couldn't go back to America anymore. Couldn't the visa that I was on, that was me. My time was kind of up. When I came back, I worked in a golf trade for a few months, and I worked in a call centre for a few months, and a job came up in 2018 in a place called the Scottish Gantry. So Scottish Gantry's here in Stirling. It was walking distance from where I stay. It was an independent shop. It was my mum and Craig that had said to me about this job that came out. They'd seen it online and should put your name in. Sent in my resume or my CV and got an interview, and I got the job. And I remember going in thinking, I've done a bit of research on whisky, I know about whisky. I remember going in my first day and I worked with one of the bosses, Kev Moore, who I'm still really, really good friends with. And somebody came in and asked about an Arran, I'm sure it was. I think it was maybe just the Arran 10 at the time or some whatever. And I was just kind of standing there, just being like, "This whiskey, I know all about it, I'm pretty good." And he just started rhyming off facts about the casks that were used, where it was based in Scotland, when it was founded, all these facts I had no clue about. I just thought this is going to be quite simple. And I felt straight away I was out of my depth and I was really going to struggle. So I ended up getting some more books, started doing some self-learning on whisky, and I just started really enjoying it. Being able to work in the shop, brand reps coming in all the time, tell me stories about new whiskies, these whiskies, it was amazing. And maybe after 6 or 7 months I started to feel a bit more natural talking about whisky and started finding out I knew a lot more about Deanston, I knew a lot more about Arran, kind of picking local distilleries. And then before you know it, people would come in and teach me because they had passion for it. I think it was actually one of the first times I met Ben Marnock. I think he's in here tonight as well. I met him, he came in the shop and he had an aquavit top on and he was talking about Deanston, and I felt quite comfortable speaking to him about it because I knew a little bit that I'd learned. And I just kept plodding away at that, and I was the whisky salesman, so the shop done whisky, it done wine, it done gin and beer and other things, but I just knew all about whisky. I didn't have a passion or other things. I knew little things about it, I could maybe guide my way through, but when people were asking about certain wines from certain areas, I was kind of took a back seat. I struggled with it, and I ended up getting pretty well sales wise, and then started finding a little bit more about whisky. And I'd only been at this point to a couple of distilleries. I'd only been to, I think, Deanston, Glengoyne, Ben Nevis, and that may actually have been it. I hadn't been to many distilleries at the time. Maybe Glenturret back in the day when it was old and not bought over by, was it Lalique, I think took it over. I'd been there, so I hadn't been to many. I didn't know enough about it. And in 2019, I set up the Scottish Gantry's Whisky Festival called Alhambra. And I was able to sell loads of tickets and get all these whiskies in and all these brand reps. Like Bruichladdich came along, I was able to get them in, Glengoynes, everyone like that. And I got my first trip to Islay. And I remember going to Islay and literally, I think it was not too far from this time in 2019, the end of April, start of May. And I went there for 3 days and I fell in love. That was the whisky moment for me, that this is an unbelievable liquid that we have and so much history, so simple in making it. And 2019 was probably my big year for, I could see myself working and doing something in whisky now. I was totally embedded by it. I was spending all my time looking at whisky, trying to learn about it, getting samples sent in from these brand reps for new whisky that was coming out, so I was able to taste and try and learn a bit about it and learn about casks and things as well, and all these different processes. And I loved it, and I still do. There's still that passion there. So 2019 was my big kind of epiphany, the year that made it, and started going. I had plans and what I wanted to kind of do and move on, and speaking to brand reps and what they were doing. I thought, where can I go from here? I'd love to tour the world and talk about whisky and just having that passion, but it never transpired, unfortunately, to be that way. And with the way work was going, it kind of had a ceiling, if that makes sense. I had a roof, I couldn't go much further, so I still had the passion for the whiskey, but I lost the passion for the. I've always got a drive and goals. I've got personal goals I always love to try and achieve, and I knew I couldn't achieve that anymore. But I still go in the shop all the time. I'm in there all the time helping out. Time off, I'll walk in and say hi, and before you know it, I'm in there for an hour, 2 hours selling whiskey because I can't help myself. So I'm still always helping out, help run the whiskey club as well, which is on tomorrow night. But I knew that was kind of, and I had to try and do different things. And then I went to that, I think it was 2019, my first Glasgow Whisky Festival in the November, and that was a total like jaw-dropping moment. I couldn't appreciate how big that venue was and how much whiskey was there. I was just kind of taken aback. I didn't know what to do. I was like a rabbit in headlights. Even though I knew about whiskey to an extent, I was a rabbit in headlights. And I thought, what am I going to do here? Where do you begin? Who do you speak to? How do you learn? You just walk about your glass. It was all these different things. But I did really, really enjoy it, and I thought, wow, this is magic way to try whiskey. So I started finding out more about different venues to do different tastings and doing private tastings, going to all these different things, and I still continue to do that to this day, which I'm still enjoying. So 2019 being the big year, but I'll jump into the chat here and we'll get on to 2020 because 2020 was quite a big year as well. So let's see who have we got in and what's been said. I've not missed anything. If you want to try and grab my attention, I think you can just at Kevin Grant on whiskey, and it should maybe make it yellow for me. Here we go. So Drew's still in from. I know you're going to struggle to get in today as well, but I'm good to see that you're in, buddy. The Whiskey Frank was his parents are Scottish. I still remember when we moved to Texas and people thinking that we were Australian. I got Australian a few times, Franco, when I was in Texas. To be fair, at some points in time I had a fedora hat on, so I'll give them their due. But I never got mistaken for a cowboy because the accent wasn't there. Just Scottish or Australian. Never thought it was Irish. Always those two. Let's see what else we've got. Who else is in? David Rory's still in there as well. Good to see you. And thank you again for that taste. I'm still in awe from some of the stuff we're able to try. And I wear my Bunnahabhain top with pride. Don't you worry. What I bought there. Danny Keenan, good evening, Kevin. Just popping in to say Slainte will catch it on the replay. Thanks, Danny. We'll see you on the replay. Hopefully it can upload to replay as well. That's going to be the next issue that we'll probably have here. Again, people talking about the Whisky Festival this year as well, November. I've got tickets for the first session at Glasgow Whisky Festival at Hampden, so if you're going, hope to see you all there. It's my favourite festival in the world. This whisky's smelling great as well. I'm not going to do much about kind of talking about whiskies and things. It was more just a journey from where I began to where I am. And I say this Bladnoch Leora, a lowland whisky, cask strength, I just love it. See if I can catch up. There we go. So Gino says, yeah, so it's not orange, Gino, but it's popped up and I can see it kind of highlighted. So if you do need to grab my attention, just you can at me that. So thanks for doing that. I can see that. Whiskey on the West Coast, is everyone heading to Islay this year? It looks like it. There's loads of people there just now, and it seems like trying to get in before the rush of the Fishio or trying to catch the Fishio or just after. And I'll get onto that story as well of my trip to Islay in 2019 and then my trip this year as well. So, I say, end of 2019, on being on Islay and the kind of meeting, I was actually there for my birthday. My birthday's next week, and I was there for my 29th, but my friend thought it was my 30th, and that's why we went, so it was really funny, it's kind of cool. And I went to Bruichladdich, so this is another thing. I don't know if anyone will agree that there's the processes of making Scotch whisky at malt distilleries are all the same. They're governed by certain processes, the way they have to do it. You can't really colour outside the lines per se. You have to follow the Scotch whisky regulations. So once you've been to kind of one distillery, you've been to them all to an extent of how they do it. It's just a different scale and a different size. So when I ran the Whisky Festival in 2019, the Alhambra Whisky Festival, I got people to vote when they were leaving about their favourite whisky of the day. So the People's Choice, And the People's Choice on the day that won was a Port Charlotte MRC, so Mouton Rothschild cask. It's a peated, I think it was 10 years old, cask strength. I remember trying it and I loved it, and I actually bought a bottle prior to the festival starting, maybe the week before, because I just really enjoyed it. And at the end, done the count up the day after, and that had won hands down. So we made awards, we made little glass awards. And said the Scottish Gantry Best in Show, and it was in Best in Show in 2019 at Amber Whisky Festival. And I says to Kev at the time, Kev, I'm actually going to Islay in a month. So I think this was the end of March, the festival, and I was like, I'm going the end of the month and start of May. I'll take it with me. So we went to the distillery, went to Bruichladdich, took this with me, and I remember walking in and I says, hi guys, you've won this award, just to let you know this is for you. And they were like, oh great, this is amazing, thank you, blah blah blah. And I thought they would just take it, put it somewhere, and it would just disappear and go into a back cupboard out the way, nobody'd really bother about it. But the first thing she done was she took it straight over to the display of the MRC stuff, and she sat it right there. And she says, oh, someone might be here to collect it. And before we know it, we went on the tour, and at the end of the tour, she says, oh, Adam's in. So Adam Hannett's I don't think he calls himself Master Distiller, but Master Distiller, Adam Hannett, the one that had curated the whole MRC, came out to me and Baz, and I'm just sitting there on a wee dram, and he sat us down and he said, why did people like it? It wasn't a case of thank you, we've got this. He wanted to know true feedback from people that really enjoyed this, and I got to sit and chat with Adam for a while. And he says, you ready for another dram? Do you want to wait there? And I was like, yeah. So we came back out with a Capita glass, and it was full to the gunnel top. It looked like a kind of marmalade colour. I had bits in it as well from the cask. He poured it, he says, try that. And he says, what do you think of that? I says, well, it's peated again. This is really nice. It's got a kind of cool sweetness. And he said, this is the next one. This is going to be the big brother to the MRC. This is the, I think it's now, it was the SC that came out, or was it the pack? I can't remember. It was the second one that came out. And he said, you're the second person in the world to ever try this. He was the first, and I was the second person to try it. And this whiskey got released maybe 2 years later, I think. So that was a really cool experience. The tour was great, everyone was amazing, and I fell in love with that distillery and that experience just for that. And I think there's certain distilleries that maybe bring you in to have that connection with. So Bruichladdich I have that connection with Bruichladdich, and it was the same again. We went just there in March. It was just amazing. And kind of fast forward quickly, going back in the year 2023, the award is still sitting there to this day, in view. It's not sitting in the back office anymore, it's sitting in view, and every time I couldn't believe it was still there. It was pretty cool. Whiskey Works Graham's came in saying, sorry I'm late. No bother at all, Graham, you've not missed much. It's just me being slabbering on about my start of whiskey. So that was like 2019. After that, I just kind of went to a couple of distilleries. I think I went back to Glengoyne and got my friend Baz started getting into whiskey, and it was good to have someone to drink with as well. When we're going out and going into Edinburgh, finding these kind of cool quirky whiskey shops and so forth as well. And this has been a total journey from 2019. But I get into 2020, I had plans and doing things. I got a new job in the kind of far end, but when I was still working at the Scottish Gantry, I knew that the things that we could kind of do there was doing live. So I started doing Facebook Live, because there's a bit of a following on Facebook for the Gantry at the time. And I says to Kev and Jack, I said, why don't I just do a wee live from here? We're all locked down. I'll just come and pick up whiskey, and I'll do a wee chat, and I'll do a wee quiz just about it, and then people might buy. We started doing the kind of online stuff. So every Tuesday, whenever it was during lockdown, all the days kind of merged into one. I started doing a live from the living room, and the thing that became famous was my slippers. I used to have big crazy slippers of, I think it was sharks and these other daft things. So I was sitting in the living room at the time. I think you can still go back on the Scottish Gantry page and you'll see me kicking about there with my big slippers on, just talking whiskey, just doing wee tastings, just trying standard whiskies and things, like been having 12-year-old things that we sold, and then people would maybe go and buy them if they enjoyed them. They might have them in the house. and I would do a wee quiz, and that was a thing that people enjoyed, and I thought, oh, this is quite good. It was difficult at the start talking in front of a camera because I'd never really done it before, and I thought, oh, I might do my own wee YouTube here and I'll start talking about whiskey. And I think my first ever video I done on my channel was the Glengoyne teapot dram, but it was more just a video of the bottle, not a tasting, and just a bit of history about it, and it was done at a terrible editing level. It's quite funny if you ever go back, you want to see that. It is quite funny, I think, now, because it's a totally different thing. Just had a wee drop in there. What's Ben said? Ben Marnock, never realised you'd met before lockdown. I didn't go into the gantry that often. I didn't live in the area. I apologise for rapping on about these. No, it was good. I remember you coming in and you were talking about the Deanston. I think Roy was talking about it on his lives. And you came in and gave you a wee sample to try, because it was something you wanted to, and I was like, you can enjoy that. But I started doing that, and I started doing my own. So whilst I was working in the shop, it was kind of quiet. I would do wee reviews from the shop. So there was an array of open bottles as well to choose from. So I didn't have a massive collection at this point either. I still only had a few bottles, and I didn't have this shelf behind me. I've got a big shelf in the living room, and I've got bottles scattered on the floor. So it kind of just took off at an alarming pace of enjoying whiskey, and I had to try different ones and buy different ones. So I started doing that just every week, just trying to put a wee video out when I could. They were shorts, they were wee short videos, and then I was doing 1 minute tastings for the gantry as well on their channel, just on on Facebook. So I just started enjoying that, and I seen people commenting, and people were saying, oh wow, that's a really great review, that's a whiskey I wasn't too sure about, and you're the first person to kind of review it. And people bought it from it. I thought, this is pretty cool, this is a nice engaging community, a whiskey community. So I started 2020 just kind of, as I say, week in, week out, trying to put a video out when I could, and it wasn't the best editing, going wee walks and taking pictures of bottles and doing wee stories about them. And before I know it, I get to kind of 2021 when it comes a little bit more. Watching Roy, who does an unbelievable job, you're watching Ralphie, you're watching the Whiskey in the Six, all these other channels. Gav Dram started out as well. He's amazing. If you don't follow him, I love his content. The same, very short videos, true and honest reviews. So I just thought I wanted to keep it that way. I didn't want to get tied down, and just I'll give an honest review of what I enjoy in that whiskey, and if I do like it and if I don't like it, it's a kind of opinion that way. And for a year straight, every week I tried to commit to it. Took a wee bit of time off. I think maybe over winter I took some time off, because some weeks it is difficult to fit it in. I know the videos are maybe 10-15 minutes long, but you've got the editing in between, you've got the picture before it, you've got to kind of do it right. And I usually take one take and just let it go and let it get out, unless I make an absolute total mess. I'll change it up a wee bit. But 2021 comes around, again back at Roy's doing blind tastings and things. I'm starting to really enjoy that. I'd never done a blind tasting before, and that's when I really started to enjoy that style of whiskey tasting. Not knowing what I've got, whiskies at test, really taking back what you're trying to enjoy here. And that was the first time he'd done that, and well, I think he'd been doing it for a while, but I had never done it with him before. So when I came back to the house, I would say to my partner, I would say, Hilary, to go and pick a whiskey and I'll see what it is. No, I was getting excited to try it. Again, I've got all my books here, the Malt Whisky Yearbook I get every year, and it's an amazing bit of reading. I'm online, I'm still searching if I find a whiskey that I enjoy and going, where's the history from this? It's really, really good. It's a total eye-opening thing. There's always something to learn. 2021, I just kind of continued on. It was just the weekly videos, kind of a couple more distilleries trying to get to and things. I had people reaching out asking for recommendations, and I was sitting trying to help out with that. I had people coming over from the States and things wanting to meet up, and they want a recommendation of where to go, what whiskey bars to go to. So I was able to kind of help out, and I thought, this is great, it's a great wee community, and I'm enjoying it. And I've not had bad feedback yet from giving someone a go to this bar or go to this shop. No one's came back and said it's been terrible, so I think I've got a good strike rate so far. But it's usually all the same. It's usually all the same distilleries or the same bars that I'll say to go to, because they are very good. And I'll get on to that as well, of what my favourite bars are. But 2021 continued on, went to the... Did I go to any festivals? I can't remember if it was 2021, if it was the lockdown. I think we were able to go to the Glasgow Whisky Festival in 2021, somebody might correct me, or was that 2022? Did they do February and November? I remember one of the years it was February and November. I can't remember if it was 2021 or if it was actually last year. But I was able to go to that, and just some of the whiskies, I was starting to really appreciate whiskies and really appreciating speaking to the brand ambassadors, people that are involved in whiskey, just hearing their stories and why they enjoy it. And I thought, this is absolutely amazing. And then you go back to 2022, and there was a moment that I had a dram at the Glasgow Whisky Festival in November, and I went up to the North Star Spirits stand, and I was speaking with the guys there, and they came up with a bottle, poured this into my glass, and right beside me was Charles McLean, and he was standing as well, and he poured the same into Charles' glass. Didn't know what it was at the time, and it was Ian Croucher. Man is a box of frogs, but in an amazing way. He's just passionate, loves what he's doing, and I love what North Star are doing as well. So he poured this in. I remember smelling it. This is maybe 2 hours in, so it wasn't my first dram, it wasn't my last. So I remember smelling it, I went, wow, that smells great. Still didn't know what it was, because it smells magic. Tried it and I thought, what on earth is this? And Charles McLean had the similar reaction. He really enjoyed it, and he came back, and it was a Ben Nevis 26-year-old, I think it was, or 24-year-old from 1996, and it was absolutely stunning. And I remember being that moment because Charles McLean was there, who was this whiskey god to an extent. You know, everyone goes to him and wants to talk to him and get pictures, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And me and him were just sitting chewing the fat about this dram, and we both loved it. And I thought that was a cool experience, and understanding who he was a little bit shaking, because you're like, well, this is Charles McLean, and he didn't know who I was, which was fine. I never told him who I was. I was just a guy chatting whiskey, and he was enjoying having the chat as well, which I think that's what it's all about. Drew from AZ, love hearing more of the backstory, Kevin, as you came into the whiskey, to now being someone I think would be skilled enough to a brand ambassador if you ever chose to. Drew, I really, really appreciate that. And a big shout out to you as well. Drew reached out to me, so he's from Arizona, and reached out, and he came to the Whisky Festival last year. We wanted to do a tour of Deanston. We went to Deanston, booked in for the warehouse tour. It was absolutely amazing. It was kind of quiet, and it was a amazing wee tasting. We went the next day, went to the Whisky Festival, just kind of hanging about. Drew was able to meet everyone in the kind of YouTube community, especially from Roy's channel, Aquavita's channel, the Barflies. And it's amazing, again, for that side of the community. There's people here from all over the world sitting tuned in, which I find absolutely fascinating. Just wee daft me, 32 years young, about to be 33, talking about whiskey, and people are tuned in, wanting to listen about it. It's unreal. So Drew, I've got a lot of time, Drew, for you, and I hope you're coming back this year. I know Whiskey and Wine Trail is just trying to get you to come over, so I hope you do. And we'll get another tour under our belt. Don't you worry about that. Jeff Whiskey just came in, Kev. Thanks, a little bit late, but glad to hear. Cheers. So Jeff Whiskey as well. If you don't follow his channel, you should. He's just hit the 1K mark as well. His stuff's amazing. Something that I've still to do and send you as a slap, which I will do, buddy. His channel is absolutely magic. So if you want something a bit more, slightly more colourful, always say, than mine, Jeff's your man for that. It's class. Mr. Slapper. Not in a bad way, don't report me for that, but that's what he's known as when he does his bottles at the start. It's funny. So we get through and move into 2023. Again, new year, going to Roy's, having drams. Every kind of New Year's kind of tradition now. Another kind of wee blind tasting and things, and it's hard to bring whiskey to Roy as well, because he has it all. It's very difficult to find something new. But I kind of get through that year, come into the new year, and we're now into April, practically May, and Craig said that was his 50th, and I said he'd never been to Islay, so we took him to Islay, and it was myself, it was Craig, it was Willie and Roy. We all went. We got every distillery we had under the sun when we were there. We got to do all these amazing tours and do all the amazing walks and be in the Bamor Hotel, Lucci's bar, buying drams and just having an amazing time. I just think it's a magical place. Islay is it's so dense as well. You can get to all the distilleries. It's cheap to get there. I done a wee video as well on, if you've never been and you're struggling, of how to maybe travel there. There's a video I done a few weeks back. But we went, and one of the things was the welcoming that you get on Islay from everywhere. Went back to Bruichladdich, as we said, and I think it was Katrina was or Catriona was our tour guide at the time. It's a young girl, but the passion there and the knowledge was phenomenal. And I think that's what I love the most about being on Islay, just the kind of passion that everyone has for that liquid, for that spirit. Is primarily where everyone works in a distillery when they're there, so they know all about it. But one of the best moments, I think he's still here, David, Mr. Brodie, the legend that is. Craig's writing 40th, no, 50th, definitely. But yeah, David Brodie, who took us on our tour at the warehouse tour in Bunnahabhain, Warehouse 9, was a phenomenal experience. John from the cask, he was telling about his passion, his story as well, from where he started his previous job to go in there, was just, I found fascinating. So if you ever get the time to sit down with a dram, I'm pretty sure he'd be quite open about it anyway. It's a really cool story. We got some amazing whiskey. Yeah, it was a little bit rainy and wet on that day, but it was just the four of us. It was just me, Roy, Willie and Craig and Dave. Nobody was in the shop at the time either. We were sitting there, so we had loads of time to just sit and chat to him, and his passion beyond. So if you want to, I'd follow him on Twitter as well. He puts a video up every single day of kind of similar video looking out onto the water, which is stunning. I think I like it every single day, Dave, so keep that up, please. But we go to Islay, I come back, and no, sorry, if I rewind again, I've missed something which not many people know. So round about February time, maybe end of January, start of February, I went and met my granddad for having a coffee, and we went. My granddad's old school. He brings out a wee cutout from a newspaper, and it was a whiskey company that had said that there's a whiskey job going, and they're looking for a taster, a master taster. I can't remember the line of it anyway. And it was not paid, it was just paid in samples, and you were to do tasting notes and things. So I remember going home and I thought, I've got nothing to lose here. I wrote my kind of CV, the things they were asking for. I wrote this big story to them, and I just kind of left it at that. Kind of forgot about it, and a few weeks after I got an email to say that I'd been successful in getting that job. And the whiskey as a master taster, the best whiskey job in the world, I think it was titled as. A really good kind of title. It was sticking on the fridge. I've got the printout on there. So what I do now it's independent. I just do it in my own time when I can. I get sent samples from the company's called Tricara, I think, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and they send me samples blind, and I just have to do the tasting notes. I send it back to them, and then if they bottle it, they bottle it. If they don't, they don't. So it's really cool. It's really laid back and open. As I say, I don't have to sit and they don't tell me do this, do that, say this. I totally get to freelance, and they said from my channel, because of how open and independent I can be with it, that's what they wanted. So there's no strings. They can at any point they can say, no, we're done. Thanks for your time. Or I could turn around and say, it's becoming difficult, it's time consuming, I'm struggling to get it done, but I'm really enjoying it. And I'm able to pick these whiskies. They don't tell me what they are until I send my tasting notes back. It's usually about 5 or 6 samples a month. When I send them back, they then send me what I was sampling. So to put it in context, it was one of the whiskies, it was a 30-year-old Jura, I think it was, and I put that in my last spot out of the 6 drams that month. It wasn't my favourite. It was something even younger and kind of funky and things. So I'm getting to do that, which is quite enjoyable. It's something different. It's a total massive learning curve again, because usually when you go out, you sit and sip a dram and go, oh, that's really nice, I enjoy this, and that would be it. But now I'm having to go, I get this, okay, I get the nose, what's the smell, what's the taste, what do I get from these things? then I have to send these notes back to them, and then they'll have a look and see if they'll get involved. It is a cool, quirky wee thing that I get to do. It is a little bit time consuming, but it's a good time consumer. You know, you get to sit there and really try and dissect a dram, and it's not often you sit and do that. You know, you will sit in the house, I see myself, and just go and, oh, it's a really good bourbon cask, got that kind of virginal, I know I enjoy this whiskey, and I would just sip it. But now it's totally just in there, my pen out, like kind of mad scientist, got my pen out, writing all these notes, scribbling stuff out, putting it back. It's quite funky, so maybe say thanks to my granddad for that, and I don't know where that'll ever go in the industry, but it's only for a few months, and it's been really fun so far. And I've done a tasting the other night, an online tasting with Whiskey Toasts. His name's Ian, and it was similar. He sent out these whiskies, and we sat and we done a live, and he was on it's like StreamYard or something, I can't remember exactly what it was, and we got to sit there and just try these drams. We didn't know what we were drinking, and everyone's sitting chatting away, and I love that about whiskey, the kind of blind tasting element of it. Sometimes it is good if you go into a bar and you see something you like, you're like, I really want to get myself one of those, a wee dram of that, and I usually do. But the blind tasting has been fun. So Ben, Mr. Marnock, what are we saying here? Heads up to everyone, this year's teapot dram has been bottled and it will be sent to the distillery very, very soon. Are we on, is that number 9, Ben, that we're on now? I can't remember where we are. Right, let's see. I'll try and catch up with some of the chat here. Let's see where we are. Just about to have you at the Bunhaven, Kevin, and the boys. David's saying, I think he's just saying that to be nice. He probably wanted it as quick as he could. I just kind of reiterate what Craig's saying there. It was a brilliant day. It was incredible. I really do appreciate it. Whiskey and wine trails. Everyone just out of work, so late to the party. Good to see you, buddy, and everyone in. Yeah, so it's been. What else? Oh, it's just jumped there from me. So now whiskey was I kind of caught up. So the story from not really knowing about whiskey to now, I would say I just love it, and anywhere I go, Hilary will tell you. But I'll just speak to someone and that's me. I'll just talk about whiskey, kind of not much else. I'm a massive golf fan, so golf and whiskey. You could probably say the kind of the Scottish as you can be in it. Scotsman, if you go anywhere in the world, they're like, do you like golf and do you like whiskey? And I can say yes to both. I'm better at one than I am at the other, but I'll not get into that. I can just sit and talk about whiskey all the time, and I go to Edinburgh, so some of the spots you'll maybe see me. And if I'm in Edinburgh, it's usually Ensign Hour, which I absolutely love, which is up near the castle. So is the Amber Bar, which is a Scotch whisky experience, which is downstairs. That's really good. They do food also. Then they've got a great selection of whisky. Ensign Hour, and then we'll jump down to the Devil's Advocate. These are kind of 3 main ones that I'll go to. There's one that I just found. I was out with Peter Lee. And who else was there? Goodness, there's loads of us. I can't remember who else was there. Peter and Denise anyway, and we were in, was it David Young? We were in the Cafe Royal in Edinburgh, not Cafe Royale, which had a great selection of whisky, and it's very different. I've never been. I really want to go back because I never took advantage of it. So we went down to the Black Cat Cafe, which is like an Ardbeg big plaque outside it, but there's hundreds of different styles of whiskey. We went in there. That was a really cool experience as well. So there's loads of different places to go. Ben Marnock saying it is number 9 is the next instalment of the teapot dram. The next question, Ben, is do you know the price and what the RRP is going to be? Have they put it up this year, or do you know if they're going to be keep it the same? And if I'm in Glasgow, I'll go to the Pot Still, go to the Bon Accord. They're the my kind of two main spots when I'm in there, or the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I'll go into the one in Edinburgh and also the one in Glasgow. They're the kind of 3 spots for whisky. So if anyone's got any questions you want to do, you can ping me some questions as well. It's a kind of quick tour fire of a whisky journey, really. It started from kind of nothing to where I am now. It's been great. There's Neil Lambert, he just came in saying, evening Kevin and Whisky Folk, evening buddy, hope you're well. I'm nearly finished this and I'll move on. I'll let you maybe choose the next dram from me. I've got 2 bottles here and we can have a wee vote. So Ben says he'll ask, he'll try and get that info to us. But I really enjoyed it. I think I had the teapot dram before. Maybe though, can't remember what version it was, but I did really enjoy it. It was really good, a big syrupy sherry bomb. So my next dram that I'm going to choose, that you can choose for me, is either going to be the Balblair from Cadenhead's, 11-year-old. It's a full Oloroso cask, or it's been in Oloroso since 2021. And there's also the latest Kilkerran 8-year-old sherry cask as well. So these are the two. What will I go next with? Will I go Balblair or will I go Kilkerran? What do you think? We'll do a quick wee vote. What else have we got here? Drew's meeting up with Whisky and Wine Trails later on today. Meeting up with Tom, that's going to be cool. Hope he's having a good wee day with that. So Des, here we go. Let's get it personal. What's your golf handicap and what's your whisky handicap? Right, the easy way to answer my golf handicap is a playoff of 5. My whisky handicap, I don't have one. I would put myself just in. I enjoy it. I enjoy golf as well, but I have a number in golf. I play playoff 5, and the last couple of rounds I've actually played to that, which has been good with Ben. Ben Marnock. I play golf with him quite a bit. David Brody's saying, Kevin, the Athletic Arms near Tynecastle, aka Diggers, is a bar that is doing great drams at great prices. Landlord is another Kev. Do you know, Dave, I've seen that online, this Diggers, because I think I called it the Athletic Arms, and someone went, no, it's known as Diggers. I went, alright. And I've now got them on Facebook, and I see the images that they put up in the bottles again. They've got amazing selection. And I think they do 35 mils, they do big pours, so it seems like a place that I'll go and definitely put my head into at one point. As I say, I'm off until the 7th of May, so I'm going to be having a wee day out in Edinburgh, a wee trip, and I'll pop in and maybe try and work my way down there. What are we saying? Ben saying go for the Balblair. Hell's Wood saying it's got to be the Kilkerran. Petehead saying Balblair. Craig saying Kilkerran. Kevin, Grant on Whisky handicap, only one mouth. Yes, that's it. There's only one way it goes in. But after Isla, it came back at that as well because I overdone it, I think, in one of the nights, and I nearly never made the boat home. But that's another story. Kilkerran, right? I'll go with the Kilkerran first because the thing is, I've not had Kilkerran this for a while. Let's see what pop we get. Yep. So we went for the Kilkerran, 8-year-old. 57.5%. I was doing a wee rejig not so long ago, and I rejigged the bottles about, because sometimes I think as well, if you look at your shelves, my shelves are 3 or 4 deep, I think they're 4 deep. So you never, sometimes it's lazy, right? You don't want to go into the back, you just pull the one at the front and take it out. But every couple of months or so, I'll just kind of rejig, and I was rejigging the one in the living room, and I found the original Kilkerran 8-year-old unopened that I've still got sitting there, and I think I will definitely get that opened again, because that was one of those whiskies I totally loved, and I will open it because I know I like it, and I'll share it because I share quite a lot of whiskey, and that's the thing as well. People who ever see any of the videos that I put and have never tried it and are not too sure, just reach out to me. If I can get a sample to you, I'll always send sample. That's not a problem. Right, so what we've got, so we've got Kilkerran in the glass just now, and what has Whisky and Golf, what about Loch Lomond? Neil Laverty, yes, so Loch Lomond is probably one of my favourite distilleries, one of the favourite kind of whiskies I do. I just bought the 5-year-old single distillery whiskey edition, whatever it was called, because they use the single neck stills, the coffee stills, they can't call it single malt. There's all this kind of different things, and it was amazing. £40, 5 years old they've put it, but I think the kind of meat of the dram is 12 or 13 years old, and the rest is slightly younger, but they have to always put the youngest component in as the age statement on a whiskey. So 5 years old, and it is cask strength at £40, and I'm really enjoying it. 60 or 70 ppm, so the peat level's quite high, but it's kind of covered very well with really good kind of bourbon cask maturity, softer, sweeter notes. It's a really enjoyable dram. I actually have a top. I found a golf top in a shop one day at a really good price. It has Loch Lomond Golf Club on it, so I wear that with pride as if I've ever played there, which I never will or be able to, but I've been to the Open once before. I've been to a tournament there. I was able to walk around, which is pretty cool. And I was able to work at I worked at the Ryder Cup in 2014, so that's another kind of a caveat whisky story. Here's a kind of wee free nugget. Working at the Ryder Cup in 2014 at Gleneagles, and I was a range marshal, and I was able to kind of be behind the ropes and see all the players every single day. And Sergio Garcia was there, and I ended up speaking to his dad, and he was a cigar man, quite like cigars. So he smoked a wee cigar with Big Miguel Angel Jimenez, he's a legend in my eyes. I think he's hilarious. But I was talking to Sergio's dad, and he was having his cigars, and I asked him about whiskey. I remember asking him, like, "Do you like whiskey?" He's like, "Oh, I've not really tried whiskey, And I says, "Whiskey and cigars are two things that go hand in hand." And he'd said he'd tried a couple, and I think it was Lefroy and Lagavulin. And I says to him, he's like, "No, smoky, no," he didn't like. So I just reverted back to one of the first whiskies I bought, which I knew I kind of liked, was the Dalwhinnie. And I bought a wee 20 cl, I think it was in Tesco at the time, so it was 20 quid or whatever. And I went up the next day when I was working, and I gave him it as a gift to say, "Drink this with your cigar." And then on the next day, so that was on the Tuesday, and on the Wednesday he's had it, and on the Thursday morning he's came up and he's thanked me, saying that he really, really enjoyed it, the whiskey wee cigar. So he could be a new guy that's got a massive whiskey collection, and I suspect he'll be bigger and better than mine, because his son makes an absolute mint playing golf. But yeah, I was able to bring a whiskey in for him, a wee bottle of Dalwhinnie that he's went and enjoyed. He's came up to the day after to say thank you, that he's really enjoyed it. So that could be another wee start of somebody's whiskey journey, right? So Des is saying, "You're a single figure whiskey handicap." I wish I only had a couple of bottles. I've got too many, which I keep getting reminded of by Hilary, because I've not got enough room for them. But I've also got this thing, I don't know if anyone else struggles from it, is finishing a bottle of whiskey when there's only a wee dram left. I've got this kind of, I just can't do it. I can't force myself to do it. And I've got quite a few there that if I did, and my argument back is, if I do that, I've then got space to buy more. So it's a kind of catch-22, right? Should I or shouldn't I do it? We played the other day, I played with Ben, and me and Gregor won. So I played golf with Ben, and I played with Gregor and Paul from Lady of the Glen. They have got a great story and things also. I think they're just a cool setup. I find myself being more of an independent bottler guy just now. I quite enjoy that side. It's very transparent. Obviously Loch Lomond is unbelievably transparent. Michael Henry's just an absolute hero in that side of things. He's happy to tell you anything about the whiskey. There's nothing to hide. But then you move to kind of Diageo, and there's lots that we don't know, which would be good to know. So one of the guys I like to speak to as well is called Graham Fraser. If you know Graham, he's an absolute whiskey god. He knows everything about whiskey, and he doesn't work in whiskey. His passion is just surpasses everything. So something I'll ask him, and he'll give me some information. Des is saying he's 13 at golf and 18 at whiskey, hoping to improve on both. We can always improve. We always can improve. Jeff's saying, "I've always wondered, is the background actual brick?" No, this is wallpaper. But I could just pretend I'm fancy and tell you it is brick, right? So, we're doing a live, so I can't even edit that out. But yeah, it's just wallpaper. Just something we put up in the room to kind of make it look a little bit different, and it kind of works pretty well. It's a small wee room. We'd love to kind of turn it into a more wee whiskey cave, and we've got a big massive table in here just now. It's an office as well. Hilary works from home, so when she's not working, I'm able to quickly set up and do my videos. Yeah, so not real brick. Ben saying, "What about your cask sales skills? I buy one of you, unlike all the investment companies." Ben, I might have some avenues into cask sales, something I would love to learn a bit about more. I think that'll be my next kind of journey of speaking to people that kind of do that and maybe wonder how it works and the ins and outs. So I'd love to, if I was ever to buy one, I'd love to buy it off someone I knew, because you're getting a bit of trusting information from it, right? Jeff is saying, "I really struggle to push past the halfway point, as I won't be able to replace most of them, and I'm such a slow drinker and don't want it to go off." Yeah, I just kind of get excited when something new comes out. I'm kind of like a magpie. Magpies just go to shiny things. I'm kind of like that with whiskey, and I don't spend lots and lots of money in the sense I don't go out and buy 300, 400 pound bottles, or sometimes I think my biggest expenditure in the last year potentially was the Bladner Leora, because I think it was £70, but I knew I really liked it and I was going to buy it. Everything else I try and keep a little bit lower, and if I can find a deal, sometimes in auction I do distillery, because I've not actually done a tour. I don't think I'd love to go and learn a little bit more, and it's not a million miles away from Stirling for a drive. I think it'll take me 2.5, 3 hours maybe. So I'll maybe do that in my time off and try and pick up a bottle and learn about all this whisky from 1996, which is the golden year of whisky for them. There's Andrew Fergus' cousin. Hello, has just joined. Opinion on the 16-year-old Tom and Tool. I just tried it at the Pine Martin at the side of Loch Morlock. Do you know the 16-year-old Tom and Tool? I think it's very light. It's a good price for a 16-year-old, but I think, if I remember, it's 40%. I think it's one you can sip quite easily and quite dangerously because it'll go down. I am more of a Glencadam man in that company. The Tom and Tool's good, but Glencadam just kind of knocks it out of the park for me. It's one that I don't remember trying recently anyway to give a proper opinion on it. But I'll try and go out this weekend and I'll get a wee drama of it and I'll give you a wee message and let you know what I think. So Petehead says he's more interested in the content in the cabinet. What I might do one day is I'll do a video or I'll do a wee live and I'll go through what's there, because I bet you when I go through that there'll be stuff in there that I forgot I've had that's hiding in the back, and then before I know it I'll be kicking out, because I've got some single cask Bruichladdich things in there, the micro Providence stuff sitting away down in the back, and there's some other things I can't remember what I've got that I would turn around and get there. Stuff in the living room, there's stuff on the floor, I've got hundreds of samples kicking about. So it's always good. I think that maybe everyone was maybe in the same boat. You know, if people were having that life prior to COVID of coming round for a dram or you're going to your friends for a dram, you know, when you're pouring a whiskey, you're not just pouring one dram for yourself, maybe 2, 3 or 4 of you around, you're pouring 4, so the bottle will go down quicker because you're sharing your whiskey. But during lockdown, you're only having 1 dram. You know, if you pour at a bar measure, a proper measure, you should get 28 to 30 drams out of a bottle. But when you're in the house, you'll get maybe not as many. House pours became these things. I mean, you went back to the pub after lockdown, you were offended at the size of dram you were getting, or the size of gin and things and vodkas, because you were pouring your own in the house. This smells, I've not had this for a while, but it's still got that wee funk, leathery note, kind of oily, wee burnt edge. I'll have a quick look just now in the cabinet, right, and see what's sitting there. So I've got a couple of things I've not got open. So, for instance, I've got a Bruichladdich Origins here, which I've never opened, which I'll get round to at some point, from the Fuchsil from 2021. I've also got an unopened Glenallachie Scottish Oak, and also an unopened there we go, an Ardnamurchan Paul Lenoir, the champagne cask. I've also got that. So there's some stuff in there that's not. I've got a kind of world whisky shelf near the bottom, which is my Irish stuff, Dutch and American. But that's just a quick glance. Just I was looking at the tops to see what went open there. So that's quite. This could be fun. I'll do another video and I'll maybe go through, pull some of the whiskies out that I've got in there. I can try and put them on the table, and I can rejig my shelf about as well and get it all moved. And I'll bet you I find things that I forgot I've had. It's just, there's some whiskies you could just sit and smell. You could just sit and you'll always learn something a little bit more from them every time. And this is definitely one of them. So Andrew's saying there, smashing. I've finished my Glencadam 10, not tried any others from them yet. I agree the Top of the Tool is lighter and easier dram. There was one of the drams from Glencadam, I think it's a 17-year-old port cask reserva. Class, it'll be right up your street. I can still get a sample of that for you, and I'll maybe ping a couple up for you. That's going to be right up your street. I think it's a little bit pricey for what it is. There's only this certain amount of bottles. Can't remember what the total is. I think it's maybe just over 1,000 was ever made from it. and I think it's every year they're going to try and redo that, but it'll be a kind of single cask effort. But a big port, sweet, jammy, lovely thing. Hills with St Kevin, I called him Andy Pours, way more generous than the local pubs and measures. I do remember going in and getting my first kind of drink after I got myself a beer and I got myself a dram in one of the pubs, and it came back and I thought, the size of that's like 10 mil, but it was actually 25, so whatever I'd been pouring in lockdown was a total difference to what I was getting in the pubs. See what else Talking to isn't called the quiet dram for nothing. Yeah, so that's what Brian's saying there. It's just it is a very quiet dram, but I think Glencairn price point is Glencairn 10 is just stunning for the money. Definitely when you want to get. There's Ben just saying to Andrew there, I don't think Tomato is a shoe. They make so much for the malt, for the blends, it's tough for them to get their own flavour profile, yeah. So I don't know what's next on my list whisky wise. I've got nothing I've got my eye on, bar potentially a wee trip to Ben Nevis and find something up there, because I think one of the years, maybe 2021, my whisky of the year was a Carnmore Ben Nevis 6-year-old, or was it the 4-year-old, sorry, which I loved, and that I went through that quickly. I was able to get another bottle, but I shared quite a lot of it out because people were quite interested in it. And it was slightly sherried, and I had an Adelphi one as well, which was stunning. So I think my next kind of purchase will be a Ben Nevis, but it's quite hard to find out in the wild as well. But I do think there's going to be more of it since the laws in Japan have changed from that, and a lot, I think it's 80% at the time of new make spirit from Ben Nevis went to Nika. That was shipped over there, so you weren't seeing much in Ben Nevis, but now I think with the laws changing that you'll see more in the UK, maybe Europe and things like that. I'm hoping so anyway. So I thought I would maybe drink 3 drams. I've only got 1.5 because I talk quite a lot, as you probably learn from watching me, or if you've ever met me as well. So I might go and, I said I'll try and keep it to an hour. I've just kind of popped over that hour mark, and I'm quite conscious that people maybe have work in the morning, they've got other things they want to do, and they'll need to sit and listen to me about my whisky story from 2013, really. So a 10-year travel from then to now, and you just wonder what the next 10 years install. You wonder what's going to happen in the next 10 years, and there's only one way to find out, right? We can continue on, but I'll keep putting the videos out. I'll keep doing a weekly video the best that I can when time is on the side. Maybe because I'm on annual leave, my birthday, I should have took a wee bit of time off just to do that. I'll see what I've got. I'll try and do a video tomorrow and get it out over the weekend as well, because some people don't want to sit and watch a video for an hour. I get that, especially a live. I'll try and still put a wee tasting video out there and see what I've got sitting. I think I've still got some samples from Isla that I've not got into yet, so I'll get back into that. But I'll let everyone get back to their night. I do, honestly, it's a very humbling experience to get to 1,000, be able to do this. This is a little bit nervy and how it was going to pan out, because I've never done it before. Going live from my phone, which it's been great. It's been a lot easier than anticipated, so hopefully that can be something I can bring back in the future, speak to people. I do have a wee idea that I would love to do. I've spoken to a couple of people about it, and now I think I can reach out to them and get the ball really rolling, because I know the live works this way. The only thing is going to be is am I able from my phone to bring people in and share like a chat, or do I need to do it from my computer? That's my next thing. But if it works from this way and I can share my screen with them and I can bring someone on, there's other things that I really kind of would like to achieve for doing a live. So I'll keep everyone posted with that whenever I get to that, and I can figure that one out. So if you see any videos going live from me, they're just a wee minute long. It's just me trying to work out the software for this, and if it's actually going to be able to do it, or I'm going to have to try and buy another camera and a laptop and figure it out. But we'll get there in the end. So wee ideas will work out. Let's see. What else have we got there? Andy's my type of guy. Aye, he's got Andy's a legend as well. It was actually Andy and Hellswood as well that was with us that day when we went to the Black Cat Cafe. Sorry, that's me being an idiot and forgetting who was there. Jeez Louise. So you, Hellswood and Andy absolutely loved the Loch Lomond, the 5-year-old, right? It's absolutely stunning. Good chat, Kevin. Well done. Have a good night. Also, Willie's off as well. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Slainte to you, Willie. Ben saying, Kevin, cheers, Kev. See you at the tasting tomorrow. Well done, mate. I can turn the sound on at the footy now. Everyone go back and enjoy the football. There's a big game of Man City and Arsenal tonight. I kind of lead decider to an extent, so you can go back and enjoy all that. But I'll, Ronnie, hopefully I'll be there tomorrow night, and I'll be there tomorrow night, and I'll see you and see what we can, if I can help set up and get involved in some drams as always. Petehead Frank, thank you very much. Interesting, fun. Thanks, Petehead Frank. That's appreciated. Thanks again, Ellsworth, everyone as well for that. Drew, thank you too. Good night, everyone. And his big birthday day out in Edinburgh. That was it. His big birthday day out, and we got some really good drams in the Black Cat. Neil Laverty, thank you as well. Everyone, thanks again for tuning in tonight. It's been magic talking to you all, and hopefully you can see where my story is to where I am now and why I'm like this. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get a wee bit of golf in the morning and some whisky tasting with Annandale at night. But I'm going to go disappear, finish this, and then pour a wee dram of my Barrel Blair. Mr. Brodie, a huge shout out to David Brodie, who kind of tweeted one just to say thanks for me coming along and not spilling any whiskey in his warehouse and keeping it nice and tidy. And he put a wee thing on Twitter, and I got a lot of followers just from that alone. So David, honestly, thank you so much for that, and I think you just kind of got me over the line for 1,000. So again, if you're watching this tonight and you've not hit that wee subscribe button, it's free to do, and it keeps me continuing on the way that I am. So thanks, everyone. I'll see you all again. I'll put a wee review out, and you'll see that popping up over the weekend, alright? I've been Kevin from Kevin Grant on Whiskey, and join me this weekend. And let's talk whiskey. Slide, everyone.